also able to provide support to the main EAA reservoir project, and we're able to even step in if the vendors are falling behind. So the Army Corps has pledged to expedite permits, remove red tape, so that we're able to get the job done. Now the good news is as important as the Everglades Agricultural Area Reservoir is, we also have other projects. The work to convey the water under the Tamiami Trail through Everglades National Park and into Florida Bay is also a very important component of this, and we've been able to do an awful lot with that, and we're doing more. We've already seen expedited return on the investment on this new agreement. We've got projects underway that would not have started at this point absent this agreement. We were here a couple months ago, well, not exactly here, but we were in South Florida a couple months ago with the Blue Shanty Flowway, which when completed will carry new clean water south. The agreement with the Corps has allowed us to assume responsibility for the construction of this project. It's a critical part of the Central Everglades Planning Project and will play an important role in maximizing the value of the EAA reservoir. We were able to break ground on that important milestone for Everglades restoration less than 8 weeks after we got the agreement signed between the Army Corps of Engineers and the state of Florida. That's a huge, huge thing. I mean, that's like nitro speed. And they had to do bids and stuff, and they had to do all this. So the Blue Shanty Flowway is a constructed wetland flowway that will deliver high volumes of water underneath the newly constructed bridges on Tamiami Trail, and the last major component to, quote, uncork the Everglades. And all of these things have been executed during our administration. You know, as it stands today, water flow to the bridges is partially blocked by levees constructed a century ago to protect vulnerable communities in South Florida from catastrophic flooding. But technology and updated information have allowed us to find better ways to keep people safe that do not harm the water flow into the basin. So when completed, Blue Shanty will be the first of several structures that will reconnect block flowways through Everglades National Park and in the Florida Bay. It's important to direct the water in this manner because it represents the historic flowway through Shark River Slough. This is the first step of a significant project that will ensure this project is ready to go as the EA reservoir comes online, and will end up costing half of the original federal estimate. So today, we're here to celebrate yet another milestone in Everglades restoration made possible by our agreement with the federal government. Part of our agreement allowed Florida to take control of construction of inflow and outflow pump stations for the EAA, located just south of Lake Okeechobee. The EAA is a 10,000-acre reservoir. It will store excess water from Lake Okeechobee, over 78 billion gallons, enough water to fill almost 120,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. This water will then be sent to an adjacent 6,500-acre stormwater treatment area, which is what we did, where it will be cleaned and then delivered south to nourish the Everglades. This will provide an additional 370,000 acre-feet of clean water to the ecosystem each and every year. That's enough to lower Lake Okeechobee by 6 inches and significantly reduce harmful discharges to our coastal estuaries. Now, the lake depends on the rain, depends on the season. We have not been hit by any tropical major hurricanes this year. I mean, we're in November. We're still not out of the woods. The likelihood goes down as we get deeper into November. So, knock on wood, we get a couple more weeks to not have. It's got to be great for the state for sure. But obviously, when those systems come, that affects the levels in Lake Okeechobee. Now, the reservoir, it'll be larger than Manhattan. And it'll probably be safer than Manhattan's going to be, too. And when operational, will deliver between 270 to 470 billion gallons of clean, fresh water to the Everglades and Florida Bay every year. We'll also supply fresh water for the Biscayne Aquifer, which is a source of drinking water for many people in South Florida. So this is something that will be really significant. Now, we had major delays, as I mentioned, under the Biden administration. Again, it's not a partisan attack; it's just the truth. This stuff was really languishing. We have delivered with South Florida Water Management District, with the Florida DEP. You know, we have completed projects sometimes 6 or 7 years ahead of schedule and under budget. Now, today, this groundbreaking on the new EAA inflow pump station. This is an essential component of the EAA Reservoir Project. This will have 9 pumps and will be one of the largest pump stations in the entire state of Florida. It will have the capability to move approximately 3 billion gallons of water per day from Lake Okeechobee into the EAA reservoir. It's slated to be completed 5 years ahead of our previously anticipated opening. And so today's groundbreaking marks the 80th milestone event in Everglades restoration that has taken place since 2019. Really what we needed was leadership and vision, and then we needed to provide support for the people that were on the ground getting it done, and it's worked out very, very well. So we're going to continue to do this. Now, we'll be putting out our budget for the next fiscal year, probably sometime in early December would be my guess. And while we haven't settled on precise figures for anything, needless to say, we're going to continue our support for Everglades restoration and all we've done to be able to promote conservation and water quality in the free state of Florida. It's been important, it's been meaningful, it's made a difference, and today's groundbreaking shows that we could easily, you know, when you do these things, what I've learned is if it's the federal government and like politicians, oh, the federal government, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. Well, yeah, we can do that and like point fingers, right? Or we can say, you know what, we'll step up, we'll do it. We did all this other stuff with our money. We weren't begging the feds to take it over. We weren't begging the feds for extra money. We did our share. And now we're saying, okay, you've got other projects. You've got the resources for that. Give us the resources. We'll do it. We'll move it ahead. We'll move it ahead of schedule. Not a lot of other states operate that way, just to be very clear about that. So we're proud that we've really been pushing forward. We don't just sit on our hands. We go out and get the job done. And today is going to be a really special day. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved in getting us to this point. We're now going to hear from some of our other folks. And so we'll start with our Secretary, Alexis Lambert from Department of Environmental Protection.
Good morning, and thank you, Governor. Alexis Lambert, Secretary of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. It's a privilege to be here today to celebrate another major step forward in Everglades restoration. The EAA inflow pump station is more than a construction project. It is a key piece that makes the crown jewel of Everglades restoration possible. This pump station will move water into the EAA reservoir, helping reduce harmful discharges from Lake Okeechobee and send more clean water south to the Everglades. Today's milestone also is something bigger than a construction project. It's the strength of partnership. This summer, the state of Florida reached a landmark agreement with the U.S. Department of Army. This agreement is allowing us to deliver Everglades projects faster, at lower cost, and with stronger coordination than ever before. By taking on construction of the pump station, the state is enabling the Army Corps of Engineers to focus on building the main reservoir basin. By working side by side, we are keeping the project moving efficiently and making sure all pieces come together smoothly. The Everglades is a national treasure and a cornerstone of Florida's identity. Working together with our federal, state, and local partners, we are ensuring this ecosystem can thrive for generations to come. Thank you for your leadership.
Okay.
Anna.
Anna Upton.
Good morning. I'm Anna Upton. I'm the CEO of the Everglades Trust. Been working on Everglades restoration issues for over 15 years, which is certainly not as long as a lot of people here today, like Alligator Ron, but it's certainly long enough to know and recognize when a sea change happens. And that's exactly what I saw and has happened when Governor DeSantis took office. Under his leadership, we've seen him fight to get a new and more balanced Lake Okeechobee operations schedule. We've seen him fight to get funding for Everglades restoration projects. And we've seen him fight for this historic agreement with the federal government that prioritizes construction of the most important project in Everglades restoration history, agreeing to shave off 5 years off the original construction timeline. From day one, Governor DeSantis directed the state agencies to expedite Everglades restoration projects whenever possible. And it's because of that mandate and this historic agreement that we're here today for the groundbreaking of the EAA Reservoir Pump Station. By the South Florida Water Management District taking over this pump station and building it in parallel with the Corps' efforts on the main reservoir, we are going to be able to see completion of the reservoir by 2029. The EA Reservoir is considered the crown jewel of Everglades restoration. It is 25 years in the making, and today we are finally one step closer to that dream becoming a reality. Teddy Roosevelt said, "The nation behaves well if it treats the natural resources as assets, which it must turn over to the next generation increased and not impaired in value." Governor DeSantis, you have put that principle into practice. Thank you for your steadfast leadership. We would not be here without you, and your impact on restoring America's Everglades will not be forgotten.
Hey, Drew.
Thank you, Governor. Drew Bartlett, Executive Director of the South Florida Water Management District. And as far as I'm concerned, I've got the best job in the state. I get to come here as a career environmental professional and make an absolute difference for South Florida's environment and its people. Also, I get to work with the best board of directors in the state of Florida. Governor, you're good at recruiting, I must say. But we have our chairman, Chauncey Goss, with us today. We have Alligator Ron Bergeron, Colonel Charlotte Roman, Robert Spotswood Jr., Jay Steinley, and Ben Butler. I got them all. So thank you so much for being here, board members. And we also, when you drove in, you drove by the embankment construction that the Corps of Engineers is expediting. I want to recognize Colonel Bowman here with the Corps. So thanks for being here, Colonel. We mentioned it. This pump station is huge, right? It is big, but why does it need to be big? 3 billion gallons per day. Just to give you a sense of how big that is, take all the water supply systems in the South Florida Water Management District from Miami to Kissimmee, add them all together, that's 1.1 billion gallons per day, not 3 billion. That's the size of this pump station. Why is it so big? Because it has to move rivers. It is moving the river of grass, literally, right? Right now, the Kissimmee River is coming into Lake Okeechobee at 1 billion gallons per day. This can pull water off of Lake Okeechobee. Instead of it going to the east and west coast, it's coming south into this reservoir, and it's because of this pump station that we're able to do that. What an incredible project. It wouldn't be happening right now if it weren't for the landmark agreement, which was signed on July 18th. But I want to recognize the staff at the Water Management District, particularly Alexis San Miguel, because 2 weeks after that agreement was signed, this pump station was on the street. It was getting bids, and now that put us here today, breaking ground on this pump station. Amazing work. Thank you, everybody. You mentioned 80 milestones, 80 achievements. I looked at the calendar and I said, 80, God, that's frequent. You know how much, sir? One a month. One a month since he took office. That's absurd, but I like it. It's wonderful. So anyway, everyone described Governor DeSantis as bold when he took office, and I honestly, it is very bold what he's been able to do, but I'm changing it. It's relentless. It's relentless effort for Florida's environment in the South, and I want to thank you on behalf of us and all the professionals at the South Florida Water Management District. You have given us the opportunity to make a difference. We're not often given that, but it just feels great to see the difference we're making. Thank you, sir, for doing that for us.
So if you see, we've got the kind of before and after how the water was flowing. And again, that was basically created by man to change the historic flow that had been done. And then now with what we've been able to do, you've never had in modern history, recorded history, I don't think, in the last, 100 years, probably 75 years, this much water flowing south to the Everglades in Florida Bay. We've also provided a huge relief for some of our coastal communities. You go back to 2016. I wasn't governor at the time, but 2016, what was happening over in the east coast of Florida, places like Stewart, massive discharges going over there, a lot of blue-green algae, big type of blooms, really impacted the economy, quality of life. It didn't, honestly, it smelled bad. I mean, it just was not good. And then in 2018, I remember I was running for governor for the first time in Southwest Florida. You had massive discharges going into Caloosahatchee, and it ended up interacting, I think, with some of the red tide, which comes in, and that's naturally occurring, but it gets a lot worse when you have all these nutrients that are spewed out there. And so, you had some of these, hotels and restaurants that were just vacant as a result of that, because it's just not what people wanted to do. So now, first we started working with the Corps during my first year as governor under the first Trump administration, and they were good to work with, and they did work to moderate. I mean, we had no major discharge events compared to what had been happening when the Corps started to moderate, but we also just we wanted to kind of control our own destiny. We don't control when water's discharged. They have a mission, flood control. So by doing these reservoirs, you now have a place you can store, clean the water. And, like the Caloosahatchee, they actually want water part of the year to be put there. So now you have an ability to do the clean water. So but that flow, the Tamiami trail raising that we've done so far has made a huge difference. All the things that we're doing really does make a difference. And people have noticed. I mean, fishermen notice. Florida Bay, as we mentioned, has noticed. I've had people tell me some of the wildlife that they've seen. They're seeing some of the different birds or something come back. We are working very hard on these pythons, and we're partnering. Got private company. We're doing all this stuff. The python removals have gone up dramatically. We want to keep that going. I mean, these things are not native to this area, and they don't have a natural predator, and so they just basically wreak havoc on the ecosystem. And they're nasty guys too. I mean, they're hard to find, and it's but we got people that love to do it, and they're now doing it. And this company is now in, they're putting up money to be able to get folks out there to capture them, because then they sell the python skin on purses and wallets and belts and boots and all these other different things. And so look, if that's what it takes to be able to incentivize the removal, so we did a lot when I first came in. We did increase the numbers, but it's like, one female python can have how many eggs, right? I mean, it's like massive numbers of eggs that they're laying. And so, unless you get into the nests or whatever, so we were kind of just like really kind of doing some mitigating, but it wasn't really turning the tide enough. And so now the numbers have really gone up for the python removal. So I'm hoping that we're going to continue. People come from all over the world to hunt pythons in the Everglades. And there's other things to see and do and everything, but people do like it. And now we kind of have this relationship where there's a lot of economic incentives to get every last python out of the Everglades, and that will really do a lot, I think, to continue with the healing of the ecosystem. Okay, so I think we're going to do the actual groundbreaking. So if you guys want to come back, and we'll do it, and we'll get cracking.